enter a banger today pretty soon.
Yeah, and we talked about the banger match, and it's going to be FlyQuest versus Mochimon, which honestly, you know, if you guys haven't watched the MRI, FlyQuest making it all the way to the finals, but right now, currently in the lower side bracket. So this could be us saying goodbye to them unless they clutch up and take this home, but we see immediately getting that Groot out of there, nothing new for you and I.
Nope, yep, Groot. Big part of FlyQuest composition. They love to play it around Spark Chief, Groot, Magneto, Ban on the other side. That's a new kind of fold into their protect ban system. We have a Bucky and Hela protect on both sides, so we're definitely going to see both of those heroes ship alongside Adam Warlock ban to prevent any triple strategist compositions for FlyQuest.
Yeah, Magneto, one of the most kept heroes in terms of every team during the Invitational, seeing him now getting banned out. I mean, there was a ton of value in those Meteor M's in the meatball. Dunking on strategists during their ultimate is just the ultimate win. Just a ton of value out of that. And, you know, Magneto, just a super strong force and pretty consistent in every single team comp. So we're not going to be seeing him. We are going to be seeing Strange, which I love to see personally. Did fall a little bit in terms of maybe the meta in this season. But, yeah, just a really strong hero.
I know, obviously leading into MRC, there's been a lot of, discussion around what the teams will be for, all of the non-signed teamship. That's the cool part is like a lot of the signed organizations have been relatively consistent, not making a ton of changes after the MRI. But a lot of the teams that haven't been signed are still making moves, like we see with March on this team on Mochimon. So, I know he's a top-tier player, hangs out with a lot of the 100 Thieves guys. So, for this team, I'm interested to see how they do. Considering, there's going to be a lot of veterans who have competed in Season 0 and then also in the closed beta test tournaments as well.
Yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of top players. Obviously, at this stage in the tournament, that quality of players is going to go nowhere but up as we progress through this tournament. And like you're saying, give a stage to some rising stars. So I am excited to see who is going to be those stars. Whose names are we going to remember from this MRC where people really do put a name for themselves and, like you're saying, ultimately lead them into potentially getting signed or working with a big team. And man, do I love seeing this orange skin right here for Venom, Spark Chief on the Venom, like you had mentioned as we start off.
Yeah, the group ban forcing him to play more of that Venom. Also, Light, I imagine, loves to play the Spider-Man, so we're going to see that tandem, that duo come out. Opting away from the Hela for energy side, sticking towards Winter Soldier's also an interesting thing for him, considering he's so good at that hero.
Yeah, the conversation is going to be, is Light immediately going to be taking out Month? That's a great early pick there on the defense of FlyQuest. But what you do see a lot of times when you're not going to be running Hela is running that dive composition. Energy going to be taking out Blur there too, as FlyQuest is up 2 on the numbers, resetting the fight. But yeah, having that dive does negate a bit of Hela's effect. Obviously does have that ability to get out of the fight with the bats. But yeah, I mean, dive is really strong. It is shutting down poke. But I do think dive as a whole, if you're going full team dive, is maybe not the strongest in the current meta, but absolutely usable as we start up again for the second fight. Nectar gonna put some damage out. Light trying to do what Light does, get that early pick, initiate when people are distracted, and there goes another on March. Light on an absolute rampage here early on in this fight.
Yeah, absolute rampage indeed. Spark Chief even going for a little bit more, looking for the strategists, looking for the backline, KOing Month. I mean, that's a nice pickoff as well in the stagger. Already less than 3 minutes left on the clock for Mochimon. They're struggling to get any sort of momentum here right now, Chip.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, is it a bit of the aura, if you will, of the team FlyQuest, just having so much people know their names now, right? And it's getting a little nerve-wracking on the side of Mochi, just trying to think, hey, what do we got to do to take them out? As we see a lot of resets and re-engages on the Hela again. Light on March before the fight starts, and there we go. Amazing Spider-Man gonna fight 3 again. FlyQuest gonna reset everything and shove them back into the spawn door.
Oh my God! He even kidnapped him from the spawn. We talk about Wolverine kidnaps. What about Spider-Man kidnaps, dude? Light is nasty with it. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's an insane play right there. I mean, we know how strong Light can be. Very confident player. Did have a few interviews with Light where he was suggesting he might be one of the top Star-Lords in the game, but we didn't really mention the Spider-Man, which he's not afraid to pull out when need be. And here we go with another engage. Oh my goodness. These initiations from Light are huge. Monk gonna take out Spark Chief though. Trying to bring the numbers out. We do get an Eye of Agamotto. Did not collide with anyone. March gonna take out Light. Numbers heading back towards actually actually, FlyQuest is going to have to retreat here. I did think their numbers were working for it, but they do want to reset, as it looks like FlyQuest does have everyone back. The advantage to having these Spider-Man Venom comp is your return time is insanely quick after you get picked. So not finding a ton of value with those early picks, but there is going to be an alt advantage on the side of Mochi so far.
Yeah, ultimate advantage indeed. Maybe they're going to take advantage of it, opening it up with the Fate of Both Worlds. FlyQuest disengages it mostly, comes back in with their own, and a ton of ultimates. Kraken impact towards the point. Not able to find the follow-up damage, though, as the Fate of Both Worlds keeping the offense alive.
Nectar with a nice dunk there on energy is going to be reset. Will it be enough for them to take more? Madman dropping light. Gasklin going to take out Month back and forth as we do get the res out for Month. Gasklin going to fall. Nectar still holding on as he's ready to use that Kraken impact one more time. Gasklin going to get resed up too, and there's going to be a retake.
Yeah, retake indeed over the top side. Sparkchief looking for that back, maybe trying to delay the objective, but eventually he's going to fall. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is able to, give that engage, but unfortunately far too much presence here towards the point. Mochimon, get the job done, stave off FlyQuest for now. And honestly, I mean, that was a great job by Month to keep the team alive. FlyQuest maybe a little bit overzealous. It seemed like their re-engage was a bit hard. Overall, you just got to give credit to Mochimon. Maybe they can get the job done here in the streets phase of the map shift.
Yeah, I mean, Nectar seemed like he had that alt for 500 years there, just still managed to wait that final second and find value just to get the reset. I think it brought them enough pressure just to hold on there and not, the retake didn't seem like it had a ton of value. Month, gonna get dove, does drive back a little bit. Gonna keep that healing up. Month playing very safe and strong right now as we do see some chain. March going to be on the Star-Lord now. Finds value early as Sparkchief does get res. Light's going to turn that around and take out Month. Blur on Light as we just see it back and forth, but the rocket reses are now officially out as these picks are going to start to matter a little more in this next fight.
Well, the dive right now is sort of uncoordinated for FlyQuest. It's been tough for Sparkchief and Light to get on the same page together. Maybe with 2 minutes left to go and respawn timers synced up, they can get something done alongside Energy's Kraken impact in this upcoming fight.
Yeah, things are going to slow up a little bit. It's Gasklin ready to use that Eye of Agamotto, trying to find some value, and there we go. Galactic Legend is up in the sky, dealing some good damage here, still has that shield ready. Trying to put some pressure onto the backline. Great kiting there, but no, not going to be enough as March drops Gasklin, while Gasklin was still holding on to that. That is a early pick that really matters, driving out some strategists as Cooper Tastic going to have to roll back with the team. Tries to get a pick there, would have been insane, as Nectar wants to reset this. Going to pull right back to even it. Health still fine, great. Down there onto energy, and we are going to see it happen again as Luna falls, and that should be a reset. Yes, holding them back at the spawn. They are able to retouch here. Not sure if the Kraken have landed on anybody on the side of Fly. Here we see a multitude of ultimates. Energy going to be getting that early pick. It looks like FlyQuest getting some space back. That should be enough for them to own this, as they are going to force back another fight. Oh.
Yeah, no, they got it back. I mean, a minute left now for Mochimon. Gasklin had a big Eye of Agamotto towards the objective, and Zelos then tossing out that Cosmic Yard allowed Gasklin to find the eliminations, even through the Fate of Both Worlds from Month. So a little bit overzealous for Mochimon to kind of go into the spawn, try to get a spawn camp on FlyQuest, but they failed to realize towards the objective, right? That portal from Gasklin sort of made them dodge away from those spawn trappers and sort of made it an uncoordinated fight for Mochimon in that objective.
Yeah, the secret value there, I'm sure it was in communication. Hey, this portal's up, just keep it away from me for now. Don't let him crack an impact upon me while I'm doing it. And it seemed like it worked out for him. Like you're saying, to give him that displacement, that new location, kind of gave him a secret advantage in the fight. Nectar, though, down goes 2 as that Z-Pack is popping off. Down goes Gasklin. At this point, Mochi looking in a really good spot to take point 2.
Yeah, there are only 3 members left to go. Tossing out the Kraken impact as well, just to secure it. I mean, they have no portal. Light could come through with his ultimate, with the Spider-Man ultimate, so that could be terrifying. Maybe that's why Nectar wanted to use the Kraken impact to secure the point. 1 minute, 30 seconds left for Mochimon in the third phase, which is honestly quite good, Shib. I don't know if we expected them to perform at this level versus a team like FlyQuest.
Yeah, one thing we've talked about at this level of play is alt economy. Is it worth using alt for the point? I mean, the point is always worth it, but if you can get the point without using the ultimate, there's inherent value in holding on to it. So although Light clearly, not necessarily needing to hold on to it, was Nectar using that ultimate necessary? I personally think it was a good decision, but you don't really know. Energy going to be taken out too, as they are going to try to even it out. Panic going to res up March though. Numbers going to look back in Mochi's favor, down, or actually dead even right now, 5 and 5. And a clobbering time gets popped. Eye of Agamotto into the moon. Not sure it finds any value. Does get 1. Gonna force the Fate of Both Worlds out as they start dancing. Damage boost is up. Will they find value? as down goes Madman. Gasklin finding another pick there as Mochi is going to have to drop back as a team.
Yeah, big timing. Month didn't build up that Fate of Both Worlds to come back into that fight, and you know, with the extra damage of Gasklin in FlyQuest, they were able to get eliminations towards that main side. Great work with the tempo plays by FlyQuest, forcing Mochimon on the back foot, but now they have their very own Fate of Both Worlds, although we've seen FlyQuest again get value even through support strategist ultimates.
Light with a nice pick there on Nectar, doing what he does. Great re-engages as they do have the rocket pack out. We see a Fate of Both Worlds there on the side of Mochi. Light just trying to wait that out slightly. 70% till all. Energy gonna hold on to the Kraken impact there, and here it comes. Right, followed up on the Venom. Make that one. Can we see two? As we do see an Ayamagamoto, a lot of ultimates being popped here. Maybe too many in the conversation. Is Energy gonna keep this thing wiping? Ooh, it is in overtime now, as we are gonna see it back and forth. Who gets the W as Energy gets a pick? So does Nectar. Energy again on Nectar, getting the W, and that should be enough for Fly to hold on.
My God. I mean, they also had to swap off the Hella in the Streets phase. Now towards the end, Mochimon gets stopped. 64 meters is all they got. And, you know, that was honestly a pretty good push considering how things went in the first point. They took, you know, till like a minute was left on the clock. Mochimon finally figured something out, but FlyQuest just too good against Fate of Both Worlds. It's really difficult for Month and the rest of the team to stay alive, even with ultimates. Right now in the current in this current matchup between both teams, Light finding those pickoffs, like you said, with the Cosmic Yarn from Zello, is just too easy for him to get those eliminations alongside the rest of the team. So FlyQuest ult management worked out towards the very end. We'll see how smooth their offense will be here.
Yeah, credit where credit is due, though. You know, at this level, that's a good push, right? Like, that isn't something to scoff at. You really don't hate that. I know point two is a really good defensive position, so pushing through point two in and of itself is a good push. So I like to see that there from Mochi. I think that was strong, but we know how strong FlyQuest can be. We know how diverse their compositions can be, so things can get really shaken up here as they are electing to stay on that Spider-Man combo, but they did drive Hella off of the Hella pick simply from the dive. So it goes to show you, Hella isn't always the solution when dive is on the table.
Yeah, theoretically it makes sense, right? You swap off a character that has one iframe with the Crow onto a character like Star-Lord who can get multiple, right? So more uptime. I mean, you get more uptime by just staying alive, right? So for Mochimon, they're swapping over to that Star-Lord to make sure that March can stay in the objective, stay in the fight, and meanwhile, you know, you just have Winter Soldier, who is kind of just the jack of all trades, can do everything to such a high level. But, you know, against FlyQuest, their dive has been spectacular so far. We'll see if they can open up first fight.
As here we begin, everyone fighting on this left side angle. Not a lot of takes here on the off behind building to the right. We see that a lot at this level of play. Nice pick there early by Month, showing you how strong Luna can be while still allowing that healing to go through the team. Luna, while using that ability, does have the ability to hit multiple targets at once, roughly reaching around 40 meters. It does provide healing and damage, and it's just a ton of both in the right hands, especially if you can line it up in a fight like this. But right now, Mochi's kind of driven back. The space being kind of owned here by FlyQuest, forced to, you know, hold up in the arcade in the back right there, as now they're taking that space back. The fight looking a little more in Mochi's favor as we begin again. Gasklin trying to do some damage on the left side, forcing out, playing around that natural cover. Natural cover is a huge aspect of playing Vanguard. You don't always want to burn your shield cooldown. You want to try to do as much as possible, holding on to as much of that value of the shield during every fight. But down goes March. Gasklin, well done there, taking out an early pick. Does get rezzed up though.
Yeah, rezzed up, brought back. Energy also still in the front line. Oh, gonna go down a little bit too far forward. No BRB as well to bring it back. So we're even here. Actually, just kidding. BRB will bring Energy back in the fight, meaning FlyQuest still have players here waiting to go with the Kraken impact. Here comes the Fate of Both Worlds for Month as they go in forward. Gaston waiting to go with his ultimate. On the dangerous over the top side. Ayamagamoto connects onto basically everybody. And with the damage boost, Nectar's gonna go down. Thing ultimate on the other side. Ayamagamoto on this side as well. But can they find the follow-up? Month's damage is there, but the healing is too good for FlyQuest right now.
Yeah, it seems like the pressure right now, FlyQuest just providing a lot, but that's a huge early pick there. Down goes Energy as March is going to use the Galactic Legend. Light gonna pop, yes, an insane all as he take out 2 Month, and Nectar gonna fall. That should be enough for them to own this pressure at about 2 out of 3 ticks. Will they get the first point? Yes. Looks like FlyQuest has driven the point as Mochi is forced to reset as a squad.
Oh my God, I mean, that was incredible from FlyQuest to come back into it. keeping their team alive. Cooper-tastic, making sure nobody fell except, well, basically one person. So Mochimon now on the back foot, 4 minutes to go. And like you said with Light, just an amazing ultimate, the spectacular spinner towards the very end, able to get a KO and a half. So FlyQuest in the Streets phase have some good ultimates to keep this snowball going.
Yeah, well done there. That was an early take. They do have 4 minutes roughly on the clock now. Spark gonna find one as Gasklin does the same. FlyQuest with these early picks, one get rezzed up, but unfortunately, it is another strategist that's not gonna be enough frontline to give them the space. I say that. Yes, as Energy gets another onto Madmen, and that's not going to be enough as they are going to keep walking this thing towards point 2.
Yeah, very hard point to hold on defense. Everybody knows around this objective. Very difficult to get that, straight up fight, and you can see exactly why. FlyQuest just sort of sitting on the top, waiting for Mochimon to make a mistake, and they tried to walk in with their very own Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but FlyQuest able to match it and just take down the members that were a little overextended for Mochimon.
You talked about Light with the spectacular spin. I think out of 3 ults we've seen so far, roughly like 6 picks. So a ton of value there from Light on this Spider-Man. Doing a great job as we are going to see the next fight set up here. Energy holding on to that Kraken impact. It's an early pick there on Nectar, though. That is a nice start to the fight as immediately we are going to see the follow-up. This combo is something we've been seeing a lot of on the side of FlyQuest, using that Venom to get the Feast of the Abyss and then following up with Kraken. Light going to find Month. Zello's going to get rezzed up, or sorry, Energy going to get rezzed up from the Rocket Rez, and there goes another as point 2 is really being driven home here on the side of FlyQuest.
Ultimates are still available. They can come back through if they can get the eliminations with the Eye of Agamotto, or on the other side with the Kraken impact. That'd be massive, but Gasklin's Eye of Agamotto is massive. Also, the follow-up from Light is there, and man, this is terrifying right now to go against, I imagine, right now as FlyQuest push on to third phase. I mean, you have to worry about Light, you have to worry about Spark Chief and that dive, but that entire fight or during these fights, you just have Energy pounding away in your front line with Zelos' Z team up. And, with that follow-up damage, it's really tough to be able to, stay alive and really match the damage output of FlyQuest right now.
Yeah, one of the things we didn't see a lot during the MRI was that combination of Feast of the Abyss followed up by Kraken Impact, seeing Venom pop ult immediately with Bucky, and I think that's a genius decision as the AoE is roughly similar, if not the exact same size, on those ultimates. As we start the next fight, Spark Chief, again, an immediate pick on Month in the backline is so much value, but there is a ton of back and forth as we do see Eye of Avocado coming out here. The Agamotto Chief gonna take out one. Light is gonna drop Madmen, though, as we do see that res come back, and Mochi is holding on, but Gasklin right back into Nectar. So back and forth here.
Yeah, so back and forth. BRB still available for the offense. March wants to go forward with the ultimate as well as the combination from Month. March able to take down Spark Chief. With those ultimate combinations, FlyQuest understanding, they just used a lot of ults. Now we can come back in. We're close to that Spider-Man ult. We also have Kraken Impact alongside the damage boost, and Cooper-tastic wants to commit a Fate of Both Worlds.
Nice again, Spark Chief. So much value out of these initiations. Always finding one. Nectar gonna take out 2, though. That's a great retake there for the side of Mochi, holding on firm as Nectar finds a quad early on to hold on to the point with 2 minutes and 25 on the clock.
Yeah, Nectar's been a saving grace right now for Mochimon. He's been able to find kills or find KOs consistently, and for FlyQuest, they just committed so many ultimates in that fight. Gasklin's Eye of Agamotto has to be massive, as it is the only ultimate in the entire time bank. We'll see if FlyQuest play it slow. If they do, that may enable some more characters to get ultimates in this upcoming fight.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we talk about slightly, Spark Chief, these initiations immediately finding a strategist every time. That's like 3 in a row as he does it again. Will we find any value? No. Is going to just buy some time. Eye of Agamotto goes out. Energy going to capitalize. So does Light. That's 2. That's a lot of space here. Is looking heavily in FlyQuest's favor. I think that should do it as they take map 1 here with 1 left as Rocket just trying to hold on, but it's not going to be enough as FlyQuest gets the W.
It talked about how Gasklin's ultimate was going to be a difference maker, and it definitely was. I don't really blame Mochimon for, getting caught out by it. I mean, it was just a really quick push by Gasklin. Nice fly into the back line to catch them out with the Eye of Agamotto. It's just hard to deal with, especially when you're right around that corner. You're 2 meters away from losing the objective, so they obviously wanted to play in the main side, prioritize playing around that point. Unfortunately, it cost them, though, as game number 1 going to go to side of FlyQuest.
Yeah, Mochi looked really good there. It goes back to the conversation we had where teams are going to start feeling more comfortable the more they play with each other. And as you can see, some of the stat line is insane on the side of FlyQuest. 21 limbs, our final hits there for Light. 20 for Energy. That duelist line looking insane, but you talked about Nectar kind of matching things with 20 eliminations as well. So really strong play there for Mochi. I just think FlyQuest looked so fluid as a squad, and the combinations of ultimates, the things they were doing were so practiced and so clean. They just looked really good out there.
They looked really good, and let's take a look at the highlights from the match, which were absolutely spectacular.
Welcome back to our first broadcasted game of the tournament. An insane watch so far. And yeah, I just got to show some love to FlyQuest, looking really good out there so far.
Yeah, so far FlyQuest, I mean, we kind of expected this out of them, just to consistently play at a high level, you know, not leave any room to doubt. And, you know, obviously they did that, right? On their defense, it was a little bit shaky at times, which is honestly more of a positive for Mochimon to be able to do that well versus a team like FlyQuest. So we'll see moving forward what happens with the picks and bans, the protects and bans. As you know, I know a lot of people talk about, you know, the second team to get the protect and ban actually has the advantage. I think we talked about it earlier, Shib, me, you, and Adios actually of FlyQuest's on the bench today. He was talking about how the team that gets the ban and protect second is actually an advantage because they get to sort of set the tempo. The first ban comes out for Mochimon, but for FlyQuest, they get to protect something, and then Mochimon has to react after that.
Yeah, and again, we're going to see the Magneto ban. I don't personally, you know, hate it. I think he had a strong performance in the MRI, and obviously a very strong shielding hero, potentially, you know, not even potentially, in my opinion, the strongest shielding hero in the game right now. Just a ton of value with those bubbles, enabling things like Star-Lord. So I do think that's a great ban.
Yeah, I imagine Madman maybe is a bit of a Magneto one trick and also somebody that sort of abuses the character because, you know, obviously that character has that one-shot potential with the Meteor M. Meanwhile, Rocket Raccoon protected for Mochimon. We're going to another convergence map, by the way, in the Hall of Djala. So going to be headed over to Wakanda. And for Mochimon, maybe they think that Rocket Raccoon is going to enable their compositions moving forward alongside Winter Soldier.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of combinations now with Rocket, not just the Z-Pack for the Bucky, but that Cosmic Yarn enabling things like Venom Ultimate, making them far more terrifying, or even Bucky. It's been coming up in the scene far more than maybe you or I, or at least for me, had anticipated. And I personally like to see things like that shaking things up, new thought processes that are allowing new team compositions to start running the meta.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we've seen both Namor and Hela go through. Last time FlyQuest banned out Namor, this time banning out the Bucky, not wanting to go against it. Honestly, kind of fair. I've been sort of the opinion, Shib, lately that Bucky is, I hate to say it, sort of a low-skill character. Like, I just feel like it's so easy to get value out of Bucky right now, and it's not necessarily due to the fact that people are like, bad at Bucky per se. It feels like the character's like skill floor is just so high. It's like very easy to play him to a very high level with the rest of your team. Whereas I think if you go over to Hela and stuff, you can sort of diff the other team's Hela. You can still do the same thing on Bucky, but I feel like it's a lot harder as a team to sort of game plan around it almost.
Yeah, I think like the way you're wording it, it's almost like every single thing that Bucky can do finds value. That pull in and of itself is already insanely huge. If you just land a few pulls, that can be enough for your team to get value. Not only that, but obviously his damage, his ultimate, very, very strong. So there's a multitude of ways to find value with him, whereas someone else on the DPS line or the duelist line may be a little more difficult to find value with. So I do agree with what you're saying here, but we are going to see energy on, oh man, Hela battles as March and Energy Energy are going to be running the Hella here. Really strong Hella map, obviously, with the high ground. They're waiting out a teleport here. Actually, they're going to potentially counter as Gaslin's trying to get ahead of it, but it looks like on the side of Mochi, they are not going to start with the teleport, so that should put Gaslin on a little bit of a cooldown here.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to me that both, that group got through, and FlyQuest are the ones not playing it, sticking towards Hulk, which we haven't seen too much of so far, at least in the MRI. Now going into MRC, so Spark Chief back on a hero that he loves to play in that Hulk.
Yes, here we begin this next fight. Spark Chief off the rip, trying to find the Hella. A ton of damage, going to have to crow out. As we do see a tackle there from the Wolverine. That Feral Leap trying to find value, not able to do so. Good repositioning. March with an early pick there on a Spark Chief. As the numbers are heading in their favor. Make that 2 as Madman finds Gasklin. And FlyQuest will not have the teleport to get back here.
No, I mean, they're just going to give up the point. Yeah, it looks like. That was such a weird fight for FlyQuest. Looked to me like Spark Chief thought he had the thought he got March out of position, finding him on that high ground, forcing that Crow cooldown out. But in the meantime, on the other side, Light got a kidnap on Madman. So weird fight for FlyQuest. I just don't think they were all on the same page. Whereas Mochimon, they just kind of have one game plan with this Namor Hella composition, and that's just hold forward, do a lot of damage, and they're doing that right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the team was just scattered. Nobody was on the same, page there. Everyone was thinking something else and looking for other picks. But that is where this level of play, the communication is so important. Ooh, I thought Energy was going to find a pick there. Great placement of those walls. Well done by either Blur, I believe it was. Yeah, it had to be Blur. To stuff that as Light is going to be on the Wolverine, looking for that scratching post. Got to sharpen those claws on the Wolverine's back. Going to try to find an alt angle and make a Feral Leap play. But at this point, Mochi's kind of riding this wave. Do have alt advantage in this next fight, and it's heavily looking in their favor as we start this next take for point 2.
Yeah, Flight is desperately looking for an off angle to find a kidnap, but he's had such a difficult time. Ultimate's still available for this upcoming fight, and it's going to be a big one as the Groot Ultimate goes deep into the backline with the Whale combination, gets Zelos.
Yeah, Nectar, great play there. Zelos goes down. The crystals were off cooldown. Spark Chief going to find a tackle and going to make that play back onto Madman, trying to even out the numbers as FlyQuest slightly up right now as the spawns in their favor. And it looks like they're kind of owning this space back, but going into a group without running one is very difficult. Nectar going to find Energy. Another good early pick there by Nectar, playing a mean Namor as they press forward even more. Numbers back in their side.
I mean, they're trying to keep it moving forward. FlyQuest now out of those strategist ultimates, however, so we'll see what happens. Light knows the portal there, waited for Madman to come out, just solo ults him in the backline too. That removes a huge player in this upcoming fight because that Eye of Agamotto is no more for this fight.
Yeah, the Wolverine presence shown right there. An immediate takedown, forcing the entire team to rethink the fight and say, no, we don't want to stagger. Let's regroup, set up, and try again. Great play there by Light early on. As we start again, March trying to find an early pick there onto the Hulk. Oh, great early take on Energy with a nice shot to the dome. Good KO. Again, here comes the Whale. No, good tackle by Light, who did not have the passive and is going to pay for it from those turrets. Again, another turret takedown onto Gasklin, and Mochi running up with 2. Here comes the big Whale, and down go 2 more as Nectar's on an absolute tear.
Yeah, this comp isn't really working for FlyQuest. They swap Light over to the Namor to try to match the damage output, but that first fight went not good at all, and Spark Chief obviously over to the Groot as well to try to match it. Mochimon right now, 4 minutes and 3 seconds left. They're on a bit of a steamroll right now, a bit of a tear. Also got Cooper-tastic, Fate of Both Worlds out now, and this could lead to an absolute disaster snowball unless somebody finds a pick on the side of FlyQuest without ultimates.
Yeah, I do think the issue there was Spark wasn't running the Groot early on, and that Groot just has a ton of presence, especially with the Namor. If you do that strangling prison and you throw the Whale, there's just no way out, especially, whether if it's damage wizard or you just throw it right in the center. It's just straight damage as Nectar going to take out Cooper-tastic. That is a 3rd fight in a row where Nectar has got an early pick on a backline as Blur's going to find Energy. Numbers heavily in Mochi's favor again. It's a very tough point to push with the spawn being so close, but there is potential. No, Madman used teleport. I was going to say to teleport wall him out, but no, it should be off cooldown or on cooldown.
A month with the copy goes into this upcoming fight. Also in the previous one, Energy committed the Goddess of Death above the objective, and it was just such an awkward timing. Meanwhile, Eye of Agamotto is massive for Madman. Up one in the fight, but here comes the Groot Ultimate. Is the follow-up there? No. Unfortunately, no whale to connect. His light went down earlier, so with that, I mean, Mochimon are in such a good spot to close out now.
Wow. Wow. Great play here by Mochi. Just a steamrolling, if I'm being honest. Almost 3 minutes on the clock still at this map is indication of a team that's playing with insane confidence. Those early picks from Nectar, I can't say enough just how much that drove those points. That point too should have got them a lot more time off the clock, but no, just did not work out. Really well played there by Mochi.
Yeah, unfortunately, it feels like FlyQuest have sort of played themselves into a bit of a negative in terms of the matchup, right? I mean, previously they kind of diffed on the Bucky rolls, were able to get a lot of value done or versus Mochimon, but now against their composition with that Hela, with the Namor, not looking as strong. You could argue that maybe that's because, you know, they had to switch compositions in the Streets phase, maybe made them a little uncomfortable. You could definitely see that side of the coin. So maybe on their attacking side, they'll get a bit more momentum, play forward. I really wonder what happened to Light in that last team fight as well, because if they were able to just get that combination off with the Whale, with the Groot Ultimate, with the Strangling Prison, maybe they could have full held there, or sorry, could have held in the third phase. So Mochimon, you know, good job finding Light early on, and that's really off the back of Nectar and March pumping out a lot of damage.
Yeah, everyone's brain is just working overtime. So it's about cutting through the noise and making sure you find value together. Like you mentioned, we saw a lot of those combinations from Mochi, which we even, you know, in the first map, Fly, I would argue had a better set of combinations in communication. But right now it looked heavily in Mochi's favor, as they always found value with no misses from those combos, where FlyQuest just could not seem to make it happen, playing heavily on their heels and just driven directly through point 3. We're going to start this early fight. No teleport on either side. Cooldown should be ready, as they are going to own this high ground. We know how valuable high ground could be. March just awaiting this backline play.
What?
And it's going to shut down Energy again. March is a absolute demon here on this Hela.
Dude, March does not miss. I mean, he's looking like Deleno almost right now. That was insane. Pre-aiming that angle, just able to get the crow off of a perfect engage by him. Take that fight versus Energy, and you know, not a lot of people can do that. He did it, matched him so well there.
Yeah, it's just the mental presence to understand that play is coming is something obviously I don't have the brain for on a duelist. Just knowing that was going to happen and just pretty much awaiting it and then ensuring it went your way is just a massive early pick for the side of Mochi. Again, these early picks are driving a ton of the fight, but now that off angle is getting a ton of value. As you can see, the team, great placement, great positioning there from Panic, as we see that being held. So owning that high ground. Light gonna be on the Namor now, gonna take out Blur early. That is a very large early pick onto the group. Getting those walls back in your favor alone is a ton of value. Spark Chief gonna be taking out Madmen, as FlyQuest is starting to own this positioning. There goes Energy again, back and forth with March, and Energy comes on top this time, as FlyQuest looks like they're gonna be taking this first point unless a portal comes up.
Yeah, 2 ticks. Doesn't look like the portal's coming through, and that was absolutely suffocating from FlyQuest. Energy, it didn't even matter that he lost the first fight, it seems. He took that same flank angle towards the far right side. You can just crow on over and force Mochimon to react. In the meanwhile, Light pushed over to the left side. So both of the duelists taking those off angles, making sure that Mochimon was always on the back foot, and eventually they got choked out. So that's what you want to see if you're a FlyQuest fan. These duelist players taking a very aggressive angles, making sure Mochimon has to commit somebody towards them. And if they can keep that up, I mean, they could fully camp out this map.
Yeah, as we do see the Strangling Prison combination, no follow-up, just kidding, here comes the Whale, but unfortunately, I do believe that the crystals were popped there, as they are going to continue to hold on, but now, FlyQuest feeling confident, riding the wave of the Whale. Will they get anything? No pick there. Gascon gonna drop back. We do see Hell Unleashed on the top side there from March. March reigning, but the fate of both worlds is gonna dial that back a notch. No picks on either side, as we are gonna have ult advantage. Dead even, if I'm looking honestly. Good pick pick there by Energy. Back on March, trying to keep the numbers back in their favor on these 1v1s. As we do see a mirrored comp. Egos start coming into play, and these conversations about who gets who will be happening as Energy gonna drop Nectar. And once again, FlyQuest looking really strong in the attack here.
They are. And Eye of Agamotto, the back line. Fate of Both Worlds not there in time to save Blur of the front line. I mean, Panic just falls as well. So FlyQuest, I mean, this is kind of how the meta is right now, at least in these compositions. When you have an Namor, when you have a Hela, I mean, both of these are the two best flankers in the game, basically. And if you can just constantly flank and win those duels, win those 1v1s with the guard up from your Luna Snow, and you're going to put your team in such a massive advantage. We saw Energy finding those picks without even ultimates involved. So great job from FlyQuest right now. 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in this third phase of the map.
Do you believe it? Will they be able to push this through with more time on the clock? If I was a betting man, I would have said no, but now things are changing. Energy taking these off angles. This is what you want to see as a duelist. Getting those crystals out is a bunch of value. You can't just say that was a failed take there, because at the end of the day, Light followed up by Gascon and Zelos. That's 3 down for Mochi. Make that 4 as Energy coming from an off angle. Gonna drop Madman. All of them are down, and here comes the teleport block. Will they be able to get it done in time? This could buy them enough. Ooh, I was gonna say you have to spin it there. I was afraid they weren't gonna spin that one. Like we had the conversation before, you gotta treat it like a slinky. Think of it like a slinky while you're placing that. You gotta have one of them backwards on the door. I don't think it was fast enough. Everyone was able to escape the wall. Maybe not placed perfectly there on the side of Gascon, but a great idea as the rest of the team is still able to push through. And we are gonna have another fight here on point, which personally I didn't think was gonna happen. I thought those walls were gonna hold on.
I guess the gap too big, too wide. Goddess in the sky goes down, immediately melted by both teams. Strangling Prison thrown out to the back. Doesn't have the combination follow up. It looks like it was from the Hela, but the heal's far too strong right now from Cooper Tastic and this frontline, or rather Zelos. And Energy just shuts down Nectar and Month. I mean, it's just absolutely panic right now from Mochimon as they utilize his ultimate. They come back in with the Fate of Both Worlds, but it's in the Gascon with the Eye of Agamotto, and there's just too much damage right now from Light and the rest of the team. You just kind of funnel into your demise now at this point as March falls. Everybody else is kind of running in. Maybe you can get some value here from Nectar. He's able to get Zelos. Eye of Agamotto on the backside, but nobody else is there. Madman's gonna fall. Everybody else is running towards the point, and it's all tied up now.
Wow. All right. With a little less time on the clock, they get the job done. The teleport play would have been enough to buy him that extra minute or so, but still going to truck through it. You mentioned Gascon there. Great job with those Eye of Agamottos. The only downside to the Fate of Both Worlds when you're on Luna is your team feels comfortable. Everyone groups on that ultimate, knowing that it's safety, right? So teams will stack, and then you can make large plays off of them, like you saw Gascon there with the Eye of Agamotto, jumping up right in the center of that Fate of Both Worlds, knocking the teams out, and then finding value and driving that point home. You got to take that into consideration, and you got to be prepared for some sort of counter.
I feel like the two main things that I'm looking towards is, obviously getting those strategist ultimates up to counter Strangling Prison and stuff. But right now, both teams kind of not synergizing that well with their Strangling Prison. I feel like, Nectar threw out a panic wail almost and didn't have that ultimate synced up with Blur, causing them to throw out a Strangling Prison on their defense and have no follow-up besides from March's very own Hela ultimate. So right now, Mochimon, maybe hopefully they kind of rein in their excitement potentially, because versus FlyQuest, they know this is a big game, big win if they do win it. Another thing, right now, Energy just kind of dominating those duels. We saw March kind of take that 1v1 on the coast early, but ever since then, it's been Light and Energy just absolutely flanking the hell out of Mochimon right now and getting those KOs. So right now, FlyQuest, if they keep it up, they're looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, it looks like they woke up from a dream. If I was being honest, Mochi on the side of Duelists in that first push looked like they had the better of them. And then it seems like, Hulk form came out of Bruce Banner there, and they're starting to pop off right back at him as we do see this same angle here. Very strong positioning off angles on Duelists, especially Hela, are so valuable. Getting eyes to look a different direction so your team can push in. You heard it, Duelists. Make sure you're doing stuff like this, giving space for your tanks to take. As we see the Vanguard's going to start pressing here for the side of FlyQuest on the attack. March going to try to take this. Energy going to fall. Well done by March right there. Great work by Mochi as they are holding on, but the height being taken on the left side as Nectar going to take out Light too. Well done again by Mochi.
They have to do this again, though, right? I mean, Mochimon matching those flanks very well. If they can do it again, that would be massive. 1 minute left to go as well. Could be last fight territory. And this is kind of like the playstyle we used to see on this map with, like, Iron Man meta. If you remember that back, you know, a couple patches ago, basically, where those Iron Mans would hard flank around that left side angle. We're seeing Hellas do the same thing. Everybody kind of realizing, because 100 Thieves does that so well, we kind of need to do the same thing. You may think that you're not actually contributing to the fight, but you definitely are. Taking eyes off the main force. We'll see if Mochimon can hold right now as FlyQuest walk in.
Yeah, Month doing a great job holding the high ground there with Loki, showing how strong the pressure is of the firing line with 3 clones and almost getting an early pick by himself. Well done there again, but here we are going to start seeing some matching ults as the fate of both worlds is going to stall this fight slightly. Holding the height, there is only 15 seconds. They do have to touch with 3 on the clock. March staying on this off angle, and they're not getting a ton of space here. FlyQuest kind of held in this corner. This may be enough for them to hold as we see another fate of both worlds here popped for Mochi. Ult advantage still on their side. Walls go up for Blur. The touch comes out. Blur gonna take out Gasklin. There goes the Strangling Prison. Is there gonna be value up in the sky? Energy taking out Nectar, and it's back and forth. The fight is still kind of holding on, but still ult advantage on Mochi. Oh my goodness. Eye of Agamotto gonna find value as March takes out Spark Chief. Down goes Cooper Tastic as well. And Mochi gonna hold on with no ticks on the point.
Nice hold by them. You know, I thought that it looked like for the side of FlyQuest, they could come back in. They took their time, you know, be heard. As soon as you hear Loki's voice line, it doesn't mean that the ultimate is used necessarily, or it is used, like he copied his Loki or his Luna Snow in Month. But they tried to, like, wait out the whole ultimate, the whole duration, because they knew he committed it a little bit too early. But it doesn't end up mattering, because like we talked about Shib, you can just wait 6 seconds or whatever and then pop the Luna Snow ultimate, which makes that character just absolutely disgusting. And they were just able to hold on with their own copy Fate of Both Worlds. FlyQuest tried to get in, but after losing 1, I mean, March in Mochimon looking pretty damn good. 2 minutes and 13 seconds for them to take this first point. We'll need to not fall into similar traps that FlyQuest fell into with their portal and just getting a little bit disgruntled on their attack.
Yeah, I just love to see games like this. In the first game, we're together, brother. It always seems to work out like this for us. I don't know why, but man, do I love it. You mentioned there the Loki, just how much presence Loki has. You know, holding on to that Fate of Both Worlds, like you're saying, you can hold up to, I believe, 16 seconds. So it is just, you know, the king of mind games when it comes to Loki. When it comes to clone placements, where you're in invisibility, you're swapping, and then just the full plays that you can make as another strategist prior to popping ultimate is, you know, especially going something like Luna. Luna just has hit scan and a ton of presence, the freeze, you know, popping crystal out, having 16 seconds on an additional Luna is a ton of value, and we did see that pop there after getting more value just simply on the clone itself. So here we go, as Nectar gonna take this presence early. Mochi trying to get a single tick to take this home, or will we see our second ever tie on this map in these first few tournaments that we've done together?
And it's a 4-2 split right now, leaving some members in main while they have March on the high ground with, it looks like to be Month. So they've kind of just split up the Lokis on the height and then the Hela to follow it up. We'll see, you know, what they want to do if they get choked out. It looks like they just give up on that off angle as Energy controls it heavily, drops down underneath on the flank. March, goodbye, see it back in the spawn.
I'm gonna be honest, I thought that Fly was looking a little separated there and a little bit like unsure of themselves, but man, do I not know what I'm talking about, because these guys are coming in hot with those early picks. Light gonna follow up and sweep everyone, buying them a little bit of extra time, as we will likely see the portal play coming up. Are we gonna see a counter from Gasklin, or is he gonna try to hold on? In my personal opinion, with there only being 1 notch available, I would potentially try to counter this portal, because you're not gonna have the time to get back and retouch typically, but we'll see, as I'm not sure they're gonna even send it. It looks like Mochi's gonna hold on and elect to not portal here on the side of Madmen, and here we go. Ulti advantage is going to be on the side of slightly FlyQuest. It looks like Cooper's got ult up, but that must be a visual glitch here, as I don't hear anything being popped.
No, yeah, he is still building it, I think, and oh my god, Light on the right side flank still has the squids in main. Huge opening pick, 40 seconds left, Shib. What does Mochi do? It looks like they just back up for now, wait to regroup. I mean, that's the smart play. Save ultimates for this upcoming fight. Is this going to be massive? Strangling Prison could also follow up the whales. I mean, we could see one-shots for both teams if Nectar builds on to his own ultimate on his side.
And audience, I ask you to remember, this is elimination stage, at least for this lower side bracket right now. These games truly matter, as we're gonna throw the whale into the strangling prison. Down go two. Gaskin gonna take out board. Down goes Nectar on the side of life. Really well done there. And the team coordination, Fly just going to hold on as we see a nice Eye of Agamotto, potentially trying to get value. No one falls as Gaskin is able to make sure that March falls. And there we go, as FlyQuest putting on a masterclass on defense and gonna hold them as well. And this is going to be a tie, I believe.
Yep, tie game, dude. My God, we're gonna head to that map number 3 because of that. And you know, it's so funny. It's like when you play ranked and you're like, guys, we just drew the map and we've just played a 15-20 minute game for nothing. And that's what it feels like sometimes. But we did learn a lot, I feel like, in that game, Shib, from both teams. You know, maybe not that comfortable in this Hella Namor matchup alongside the Groot, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did see a lot of value of the combination. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Groot getting taken out here, honestly, by either side, because it was successful on both, right? So it's difficult to have that conversation. But yeah, Spar Chief, MVP on the Groot. On the side of FlyQuest goes to show you how strong his Groot truly is. So maybe that'll be changed up there for Mochi. But yeah, we see Spar Chief, 6 eliminations, 25 of the KOs, only falling 4 times. Just a really well done job. And then you look over on the other side, Nectar with 11 final hits, Energy with 12. It's just a duelist game here with these Groots supplementing their damage. It's just it's a battle.
It is a battle indeed, and maybe we could talk more about that when we get back, that specific composition, because there is a lot to talk about. So we're gonna be right back after the highlights and come back for map number 3.
Welcome back, everyone, as we just saw an absolute battle ending in a draw, which I think we've only seen a few times in these tournaments. I personally love to see that. It goes to show you these teams are never giving up, and I just want to see who takes this next one.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen in this best out of 3. Map number 1 did go FlyQuest's way, and then, like you said, game number 2 was a draw. That means we're going to play another map regardless, right? So for Mochimon, if they can win this one, force that map number 4, that would be massive. First ban is going to go to Venom first, matched by Winter Soldier for FlyQuest. Again, they really don't want to play against that.
Are we going to see the lock of Magneto now? That might be something we see, because typically so far Magneto's been banned initially and then Bucky after the fact. They want to keep Bucky out of here. They're going to elect to keep Hela, which, you know, makes sense. The side of FlyQuest, I mean, it was very back and forth there, honestly, in my opinion. So it's difficult to say who had the most value. Obviously, it is a team-based game, so it's all about spacing and owning space. And yes, they are going to choose to lock in for Mochi that Magneto, which we have yet to see in this series.
I think we usually see like a Star-Lord, or not, sorry, Adam Warlock ban here, and I think they're fine. I mean, I imagine FlyQuest looking to ban out that Namor. Maybe not really scared of that Magneto, but more so, yeah, there's the Adam Warlock ban from Mochimon. They've been doing that consistently and alongside the Venom ban. But here we go, FlyQuest. Do they ban the side of the Namor, right? Then they don't have to deal with Mochimon's Namor. They don't have to deal with Nectar on that hero or on the Bucky. Force him to play something like the Star-Lord. Yeah, there we go. Namor ban comes through, man. So it seems like FlyQuest strategy is a little bit obvious, and same for Mochimon.
Yeah, we are going to see the group battle again. Going to be a little less value in terms of the combination ultimate without having Namor around. But you know who else can combo pretty well, which I think is more, you know, unique and less seen, is Wolverine. Wolverine can deal a ton of damage to those people who are locked in by the strangling prison. He goes ahead, launches that last stand and then just stands there dicing up a full team while still having that passive up. It's very difficult to immediately drop that before the team falls. So yeah, I mean, that might be the combination we see here now, is they know Groot's going to be on the table, so I'm assuming we'll see Logan on both sides.
I hearing combination ship. I know this is like my ADHD brain going to like something else, but every time I hear combination, I think combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. You know, that old YouTube meme. I don't know. It's just kind of cringe, I know, but you know, we're
Us
built
boomers love it.
here. I know, dude. Hell yeah. But dude, Shib, in this case, the cool thing about Magneto going through, and the reason why I guess we're not seeing a lot of like Wolverine, and you probably know this as well, like it feels like we don't see Wolverine played as much unless you have that Magneto, right? So we saw in the previous maps Wolverine was played by Light, but they didn't have that Magneto help stay or keep him alive. So interesting that hero goes through, forces a completely different composition again for this map number 3.
Yeah, in unique change here as Mochi elects to get rid of the Groot, have Madman obviously going to be on the Magneto, but Blur's going to be on the Thing, which obviously is you know, the best Vanguard pick into a Wolverine right now, not allowing you to get Pharaoh leaped a mile away into the enemy lines. Instead, you kind of stay stationary as the Thing cannot be moved, especially by the Wolverine. And here we go in this off-angle fight. I do like this positioning. Owning this high ground is very valuable. A lot of teams elect to fight over here instead of down center, down main, because you do have the advantage on defense in that position. So instead of sending a few people this way, the whole squad is rolling this way, as we do see the Pharaoh leap with Light going to be tackling and doing the rocket super jump to try to find some value, but not enough. Well done there by the strategist on Mochi to keep the team up as we begin again. Nectar is going to fall early by Gaslin, who in a great wall there by Spark Chief to ensure that he was not able to escape. Numbers back in their favor for FlyQuest as they're shoving Mochi back to the spawn door.
It's rare we see a fight even happen over here on Clintar. So both teams prioritizing this flank, specifically FlyQuest, making sure they can't enter it. And you can see how far away it is from the point, but that's how important this side angle is for FlyQuest to control. Make sure Mochimon are always on the low ground to give Energy sort of that high ground advantage as he's taking full advantage. March falls to the daggers, comes back through on the flank. Nice job by Energy.
Yeah, really well done. I was wondering there if they were going to choose to walk it down main while they're off that off angle. Mochi just run right at him as, ooh, we are going to see Fate of Both Worlds pop, but it's more so just a reset as a team. We see a strangling prison opportunity here. Is it going to fly out as soon as this is done? They are going to be counting in their heads that 12 seconds out. And there it is for Spark Chief, trying to find another, but holding, oh my goodness, Panic gonna fall through the Fate of Both Worlds. That is a lot of coordinated damage there.
I feel like without the Namor, things are falling apart for Mochimon. We talk about, I feel like the parity right now in the game is insane in the pro scene. There's a lot of good teams, but this is what separates the good teams from the great, right? FlyQuest having a perfect ban protect phase, making sure Nectar's not going to play that Namor, and now they get Light on one of his comfort picks on Wolverine. Early last stand committed by him there with no value, so that's at least something for Mochimon as they walk into this fight.
Yeah, and here we go again with the next set of fights. Alt advantage going to be on the side of FlyQuest, doing a great job here on defense. Finding value through Fate of Both Worlds is a tough thing to do. They've done it twice now, as we do see it right back. The Meteor M in the sky, not able to get any value, unfortunately. Well done there on the positioning as they are driving back. Hell is unleashed. And here goes the Meteor M again. Will this one find value? Yes, it does, as March goes down from the side of Gaslin.
Yeah, I mean, right now this is clinical from FlyQuest. They'll surely find these eliminations or at least press off Mochimon. His energy is frying right now. He is on 1 month. Sent back to the spawn again. 1 minute left to go. They just walk forward with the Fate of Both Worlds. Energy just building confidence, building Riz as they just walk forward, get the spawn camp.
Oh, wow.
For Mochimon, man. A minute left to go. Brutal.
And this is looking like old FlyQuest to me. They are playing confidently, and they're walking this back and forth. But this next fight heavily in Mochi's favor, as we will see some combinations. We could see that Groot last stand from the Wolverine against, Strangling. And here we go off the rip, but no! March going to take out Spark Chief, who did throw that Strangling Prison. Didn't get much. Energy going to turn that right back on Madman. And a great play by Blur there to get a couple early picks as they do resort going back to the Groot instead of running that Thing combination.
They're far away from the point, though. So we're going to get a portal play here, Shiv. They're going to come back through once Madman gets that portal off, and they have last stand. Something can be done. Did Madman just get stunned, though? Or something happened anyway. Spark Chief coming back through. They have portal. Madman has to run all the way back now.
I believe Energy just stunned Madman out of the teleport, which was so crazy. No, just stunned back, either back into the spawn door, or it was enough to cancel the portal. Cooper-tastic gonna pop off the Fate of Both Worlds here, and right back into FlyQuest. Even in these numbers, alt advantage on nobody, as everyone's gonna be playing vanilla here. Light gonna come back in as Star-Lord, which plays really well. Ooh, Marks, that's a massive pick on Energy, and we are gonna see them owning this space. Just in OT now, they've got to hold on. Numbers are dwindling. Cooper-tastic falls. March finding another. Nectar on Gasklin. Spark Chief goes down. Well done by Nectar to clean up the rest, as they are going to take point one.
Yeah, that was almost so nice from FlyQuest. Energy on that flank, like you said, able to stun Madman, make sure they don't get that portal, regroup. But, you know, at the end of the day, if your Hela is not hitting the shot towards the very end in the clutch like March did, then you're probably not going to win the fight. FlyQuest now holding on the defensive side. 2 minutes for Mochimon. That was an incredibly lengthy attack for them, but now they get to move at least further into the map, make FlyQuest sweat a little.
Yeah, that was a good retake there by Mochi. I honestly thought FlyQuest was looking like they had that fight initially. Great stun there to shut down Madman's teleport. I can't believe that happened. That was just insane wherewithal there from the side of Energy. But here we go as we do pop those crystals early, keeping the team up, holding that high ground on the left side. We've seen every team at this level realize the value of this position. A lot of teams not fighting down that main and instead electing to stay on this high ground. A Spark Chief gonna find Blur. Nectar goes down too, and they're taking this space right back, saying this needs to be back in our favor. Panic going to fall here on the off angle, trying to find one, but no, not gonna happen as Energy does reposition, and FlyQuest is going to force them to retake this fight with a minute on the clock.
Yeah, taking advantage of the Meteor M from Gasklin. Meanwhile, off angle now being taken from March. A lot of ultimates still in this fight. You can see FlyQuest able to get that ultimate. Here comes an early Strangling Prism from Spark Chief as the follow-up there on the backside at least forces the copy out of Month, and they've used Strategist ultimates already. Disengaged by FlyQuest. When are they going to use their own and come back into this fight?
Yeah, alt advantage across the board, pretty even. March on Energy again. These picks have been so back and forth. Really difficult to say who has more right now, but oh, great take there, trying to stun out Nectar. Up in the sky, Meteor M, ton of charge. Bang! Down goes Light. Madman from downtown gonna find one, evening out these numbers, 5-5. We do see the Fate of Both Worlds being popped by both. The Zealous on the Loki and back over on Panic should be dying down now as we see who gets this next KO. It'll be of insane importance. Nice walls there, locking him in, but it's not going to be enough to get that early pick as we do see Hela in the sky on both sides getting traded, still being hauled on here by Mochi, who does have a slight advantage. Energy goes down by Nectar. Strangling Prison is out. Will they be able to get more as the crystals get popped? Tackled out off to the side. Oh my goodness, Madman with two, and Nectar goes down on Zelos.
It is looking at ults in that fight. Unfortunately, FlyQuest didn't really have much, committing Energy's ultimate. Flight tried to find the last stand earlier, but Mochimon just clinical from them. Moving into third phase of the map now. Minute 30 seconds left to go. Considering how things went on first point, that's huge for them. But also, you know, like you said, that Strangling Prison connected flush, and then Nectar on the backside with the last stand able to find Strategist. So with that, Mochimon put themselves in a good spot. And this is looking a lot like the previous map, Shib, where like FlyQuest on the defense, I don't know what happens, but sometimes they just collapse.
Yeah, it's a momentum thing. We've had that discussion. Momentum is so important in this game. If you're feeling confident as a team, confidence allows you to play a little more aggressively instead of on your heels. We do see the Strangling Prison from the side of FlyQuest trying to dunk on it. Bang, down goes Madman. Well done there, but the combination of 2 for 1 may not be valuable enough as we're going to see the team playing hyper aggressively still. Mochi not backing down after that early pick. Still feeling good as they press forward. Panic going to get frozen up here. And Mochimon is keeping this pressure. The one-off angle. March wins this one again on Energy.
He's looking good on this map. I mean, he's just been so consistent on these flanks, able to remove Energy in the mid fight. We saw this on the previous maps, and now coming into this one, March, you know, he put up damage numbers, and now he's putting up final elimination numbers. Nice job by the Crystals to keep yourselves alive, but that cooldown removed. March still sitting in a good spot, comes back to the main, ready to go with his ultimate whenever he wants.
Yeah, it's just been a consistent story here where we've seen a little bit of value from FlyQuest on their combinations. And then Mochi comes back and says, it ain't over. Month gonna drop Cooper-tastic. Down goes Gasklin as they are up 2. Yeah, at this point, going to be popping ultimates just to buy some time. Light trying to land that Berserker. Unfortunately, not able. I say that as he immediately finds Month on the high ground. Great wherewithal, just understanding that teleport, finding out which clone was real, and getting that immediate pick, trying to even these numbers out. Very close here to point 3, as they do have to touch and hold on.
Yeah, I mean, Kidnap as well onto Cooper on the side. Telos also falls, so they got picked apart in FlyQuest right now, just a bit too split. They're going to eventually fall on the card, as well as Mochimon. I mean, just energy here. Doesn't even have the ultimate. Can't get there in time. Dude, how did they do it? They've capped out Clintar against all odds.
Can you imagine a 3-3 overtime again on this map? Let's see them run it back. Both teams just seeming to ride the wave. Once they get those early picks, it's like there's no stopping them, even if the numbers even out. It's just a momentum grind where they just get back on it and force it through. Well done by Mochi, pushing through to point 3.
And I feel like this kind of goes back to the original narrative I'm trying to push a little bit right now, is that FlyQuest, you know, their first point, it looked like super good, but just in the clutch, in the last situations of these defenses, they just kind of collapsed. And, you know, it seems to me like they just had a hard time getting value out of Light's ultimates, whereas Mochimon obviously got a lot more value out of Last Stand with Nectar. So for FlyQuest's team, maybe they can play around the Wolverine a little bit better, or just not collapse in the streets phase towards the end. Mochimon did a great job sort of just holding their ground around Madman, just consistently pushing on FlyQuest. And, you know, they obviously hardened up in the second and third phase of the map to cap out in overtime.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think Light wasn't getting as much value out of those ultimates, at least not from what I saw. Obviously, you know, Nectar doing a ton of work there, getting those off-angle picks, but it just always seemed to be on a strategist, which we heard from the pros in the last tournament mentioning how important that is. A lot of the knowledge is, oh, Wolverine hits Vanguards, Vanguard gets KO'd. Instead, a lot of these guys are looking to dunk into the strategist, and they find a pick on a strategist to be far more valuable in the long game. So really well done there. We did see some strong play, as once again, looking like we might fight on this off angle as a team. Holding this high side is a unique defensive strategy, knowing that they can still look back on main and still have the height advantage.
And constantly just sitting over the point, making sure that energy doesn't have a spot that is safe to kind of press out on Hella. Still looking for that backline, though, making sure nobody is healthy. And oh my gosh, Monk falls early to energy on these flanks. Nice opening pick for the side of FlyQuest.
Yeah, that's a good early take. That could be enough to buy them the pressure. It looks like it's heading in their favor. Not going to see a TP, obviously, with the team still holding on this off angle. The retouch will happen, but this is where the difficulty of Groot comes in. Energy again on Madman. That should be enough to drive them that early space. Gets out early, going to find that off angle. Spark Chief going to wall off the Groot. They're all going to be focusing this Groot down. Goes Blur, and FlyQuest looking really confident again. The attacks on both of these sides are just steamrolls right now.
Yep, Hella meta moment, right? Energy found a month early on. You know, it just made everything so complicated for Mochimon. That's what it does when you hit your shots. So able to force that objective. FlyQuest just played towards the point. Mochimon, realizing they were giving up the objective, had to drop down and contest the objective. And now for FlyQuest, 5 minutes in the streets phase. Definitely a lot better than Mochimon's time bank at this phase of the game.
Yeah, and once again, just, you know, knowledge for everyone watching. See how these teams are fighting on this high ground. Owning high ground is so important. Despite your rank, it's always going to give you an advantage. Nectar taking out Lights, and I am Logan. Energy going to be dropping Month, as the numbers even out. Spark Chief on Madman, make that 2, as Spark Chief is playing confidently, and they're going to keep walking this while FlyQuest has the advantage, pushing this towards point 2.
Mochimon committed strangling prison in that fight. Oh no, March pickoff, man. That's brutal. I don't think, I mean, they'll have Portal potentially to come back through if they want to use it. Don't even look like they're going to make the switches because, you know, everybody has ultimates. And without your Hella in this fight, I honestly don't know how you win it. Maybe with ultimates you try to stagger it up, but the spawn is so far away.
Yeah, up on the high ground there, you see Zelos with a really good positioning of clones prior to the fight, setting up the firing line, but is going to copy up on the fate of both worlds. Begin that as the Magneto's in the sky. Will we see a dunk? Nobody getting a pick there as Gaslin's up now. Bang! Down goes Monk. That is a really large early pick. Both Hellas battling. The last stand goes out for Nectar, finding Gaslin, trying to make sure he gets 2. Cooper-tastic not going to be able to escape. Really well done here by Nectar again on the Wolverine to bring them back as Mochimon is popping off.
Yeah, I mean, that was insane. But you know what? You know what matters more than anything, Shib? The point. the objective, guys. Nobody was on it for FlyQuest.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, sorry, for Mochimon. So now FlyQuest moves on to the third phase of the map. Nectar's kill or KOs are meaningless.
Oh my goodness, I couldn't see it with the camera angle, but yeah, that might have been a sneak or just nobody took over priority of cart. But oh, like you're saying, that is a tough thing to see. In this position, you gotta retake priority on cart before anything else. And yeah, they did not get it done. Spark Chief holding on to that Q, strangling Prison ready too. FlyQuest still has the ult advantage. And ooh, having that come through like that, using so many resources on that second point fight and still not holding on is going to be potentially the fail end here for Mochimon on this point as Energy with another early pick. Energy, great off angling here on this Hela.
Yeah, incredible off angling. Light as well could drag the Hela over to the main side. Meanwhile, on the cart, Blur chucks in an ultimate. Is the follow-up there? It looks like it is from the Meteor M. Nectar also with another last stand. They're pissed off and angry, and you can see that in this fight, but that's so many ultimates committed now. And Shib, in that second phase, I mean, they got it to like 0.05 meters left to go before they capped out. So if you got off the payload for even a second like they did, that's what'll happen. And now Mochimon, maybe a little bit overcommitment in terms of ultimates now into this fight, dude. So we'll see if FlyQuest, you know, having that ult advantage can take the edge here in the attack with March on the flank. That could be big. He could find the opening elimination for the side of Mochimon.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, I do think it's a little bit of a mental game there. They lost that point, and you know what? They're not happy about it, and they showed it with the overcommitment there on ultimates. So now FlyQuest with a slight advantage, strangling Prison, finding a few, but does get walled up. Mutants, off goes the Meteor M, not able to get a pick as crystals get popped. Teams are just back and forth here, still has ult advantage. We are gonna see Light's last stand. Energy potentially gonna go up in the sky and launch the Goddess of Death as Energy finds one first. Cooper-tastic on a month. This is looking heavily in Fly's favor. Energy taking out Panic. Light onto Madman. Nectar back on Spark Chief, but it should not be enough. At least it's gonna buy them enough space. There should be a retouch here by Moki, but will it be enough to allow them to hold before both teams push us into OT?
Great positioning by Mochimon to fight at that spot, right? Take the wipe there. Now you give yourselves a chance to come back through in the spawn in this last fight with the ultimate advantage. 2 minutes and 24 seconds left to go. March goes aggressive into Cooper-tastic.
Up in the sky with us, Goddess of Death, and March is gonna find Energy. Light onto Nectar, though. The Wolverine battle will still commence. All commitment has been considered. Cooper gonna be popping that Fate of both worlds, but it's done now. Now Moki is holding on. They have Fate using that damage boot to try to find some more value. Good positioning here, though, by FlyQuest. This all does not do much for them if they drop back and restack as a squad, and they're doing that. The walls go up, and that's gonna be some cooldowns out for Blur. Not gonna have as much pressure on this next fight. There goes the tackle. Nectar is going to get bubbled up, going to continue to charge those claws on the walls, which is something you can do as Wolverines, for those of you who don't know. Oh, and the dunk goes out as Energy commits. Nectar and Monk go down, and well done by FlyQuest. Make that 3, 4, and this should be enough for them to push this into OT.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a delayed ultimate from Panic, but you can potentially find him even with the damage or even with the healing of that ultimate. Nice job from FlyQuest to get it done. You know, and that was honestly just because of the disengage. They got caught by a strangling Prison, as, by the way, some time will be added for FlyQuest. We're all tied up 3-3. Now on the attacking side, again, will be Mochimon. But what happened there is that they did not get value out of Meteor M, did not get value out of March's ultimate, and it's that lethality that really impacts the team, right? You need to get value out of either March, Madness, or Nectar's ultimates. And unfortunately, once Madman misses that Meteor M, I don't know if they really had a chance to win it there. So great disengage from FlyQuest. Cooper-tastic's ultimate obviously was nice and massive to keep everybody healthy, but more importantly, they soaked up Madman's ultimate, made sure that Meteor M did not hit with either the crystals or the Groot walls.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the retake was everything there. I think that's what won them the fight. Just the utilization, the overcommitment there by Moki was just not, you know, which is a tough thing to have a conversation about because they did everything right, but FlyQuest just big-brained it and just said, hey, let's not commit anything just yet. Wait until this ult is done, and then let's try this again. Light immediately going to launch that last stand. Energy gets 2 picks off the rip. We follow up with Spark Chief finding another, and at that point, man, it's over. It's over. They were able to find that pick through Panic's Fate of Both Worlds, which we've been seeing, which which is no joke to do, if I'm being honest. Being able to have that commitment of damage at the right time and forcing a pick through a strategist ultimate, strictly healing, is actually no joke. And they just provide that over and over again, going to show you that how strong their communication is. But it was enough to drive that point home. I saw the Jeff there for a second, and obviously not going to be played just to pop the bubble to get the team out of the spawn faster, as we will have 51 seconds on the clock for their attack.
Yeah, he makes some great points, Shib, and now Mochimon's tournament on the line, and you know, we're in an incredible phase of the game where a team assigned, a team like FlyQuest is really not struggling necessarily, but having a really tough matchup here in the round 7. Mochimon on their attack, right? 30 seconds left. There's already going to be only one fight for them now, and oh no, that's brutal, the pickoff from Light.
Yeah, good hold, good early pick. This should be a recontest. They do have to drop. Going to burst these walls to force the team to try one more time. 17 seconds on. You got to touch with 3 seconds to make it go into that OT clock. You got to be thinking about that, but sometimes in this moment you do forget. 9 seconds on the clock. They've got to find a way in. 6 as the teleport gets out there, and Madman's going to touch with 2 on. Good take up into the sky. We are in OT. Where's the early pick going to? As we do see a tackle. Gasklin going to take out Nectar. Blur going to drop Light back and forth as we are even now 5-5. Fight still commencing. Walls to shut down angles.
And Zealous has gone to March. Monthus, what a Gasklin. No way, dude. Are you kidding me? No way, Mochi. In overtime, when they were just shoved into a corner, bullied, they come out stronger.
That was a beautiful touch by Madman, jumping up into the sky with Strange, and it just drew so much attention. The value of Strange hitting the sky and putting that shield under his feet. Everyone looks up. Everyone puts their focus and damage into a shield with a ton of HP and gets no value anywhere else, as the picks just started rolling. And now FlyQuest has to group one more big fight here. They have to commit everything, and they've got to get the job done. Oh, as March finds energy early, an early pick.
March Madness. It's just absolutely March Madness right now, man. It's too perfect. It's his time of the year, and right now he's on fire.
I am ready to
gorgeous play. We do see the strangling prison on the high ground. It did not get a ton of value from Blur there, and we will see Spark Chief ready. Gasklin, Zelos, and Coopertastic just popped off to hold on for the moment as well, to probably cancel out Blur's strangling prison there. The fate of both worlds, and here goes the battle again. March finding energy again. March is unstoppable right now as we see Light onto the scratching post, and that is going to even the numbers as Blur goes down.
We're gonna fall. Fate of both worlds popped out. Is that ultimate gonna connect? Nope. Dodged away on the backside into the sky. They go flying because of last stand, but everybody's healthy because of the strategist ultimates right now, except Spark Chief, and Madman gets it done again.
Wow, this is so back and forth, but Moki is still holding on up in the sky. Light falls there from March. Numbers back in their favor. Energy gonna take out March, though. Make that 2 as Panic goes down as well. Energy, good ultimate there. Really, really strong. Goddess of Death finding 2, make that 3-month falls, and this should be enough for FlyQuest to shut this down, but we could see a portal in if they buy enough time. Actually, portal was used on the first point. They will not have it here, so this fight is everything.
Yeah, this fight is everything, like you said. Shib, Mochimon gets stopped. 137 meters, though. Dude, it's actually crazy how often we have these close games with you and I, man. So, you know, 2 minutes, 25 seconds. We're swapping over. FlyQuest, can you guys stop choking or something? Like, what is going on?
Hey, in the positive, there is no chance of a tie here. At this point, it is do or die for the side of FlyQuest. They could end this out here and take the series, or we could push this to another game. So well done there by Moki, who just popped off at the correct times, just making things happen. I love to see it. Gotta show some love here to March, who found 3 consecutive first fight picks, giving them a ton of value in early spacing to win those fights.
I mean, much love to the whole team for sure, man. Like, the March, like you said, was absolutely crazy. But everybody in Mochimon to go toe-to-toe against FlyQuest, who are a signed roster as free agents, is definitely not easy, considering the amount of, you know, resources that you get as a signed roster and stuff. So for Mochimon, I mean, the whole roster definitely deserves a massive shout out regardless of what happens here, because right now it's icing on the cake considering the performance they've had so far.
Yeah, this is, this is what I'm looking for. You know, we talk about discovering new stars and teams that may not be signed, and these are those moments that you start getting noticed. You start drawing attention to your name, and I just love being here for it as we push into another OT. And can FlyQuest get the job done, or will they take this to an additional game? A fourth game at a best of 3 is pretty funny to say out loud, as here we go again with the first fight.
Yeah, first fight commences, and FlyQuest chooses to not really give up a lot of that space. Sparky wanted to walk in, interesting, gets the bubble, also Alt had the rocket jump to get out of there once he gets walled off. So FlyQuest obviously wanted to commit Sparky to go aggressive, build up that bubble charge. Without those cooldowns now, FlyQuest are a bit on the back foot. However, on the front line, a lot of damage coming into Nectar, forcing that passive early. Light, knowing that, wants to come back through, gets the connect, flies in the sky, brings him into the team, shut down.
Great work there with the jump, the extra distance. Love to see it. That's a first early pick. Great work. Smart Chief going to turn it on Nectar. March going to find energy, though. Numbers are back and forth. 5 on each side. Blur's going to have to teleport back here if they want to get a touch, or this might go towards Fly as Light finds Madmen. No Vanguards in the front line holding this space. The teleport play at this point, waiting for as many people to revive as possible from the KOs before we start this next fight. Will they be able to make this touch happen? Yes, they will.
They come back through, also going to connect into Blur as he comes through the portal. Oh no, that's brutal for Mochi. They commit the ultimate from Month, and they're still on the objective, so FlyQuest has to give it up for now. Wait out those Predators ults.
Yeah, we are going to see a double dance floor here from FlyQuest, who are holding on to those Fate of Both Worlds to ensure they get this win, but not overcommitting if they don't need them. March, though, finding Gascon early. Maybe they should have, as we're up in the sky, not able to get anything with the Meteor Rem. And here comes the Strangling Prison out of the background. We do not see the picks happening. The crystals have been popped. The tackle out in the off angle there. March up in the sky, taking out Zelos, though, as Moki is not done yet. Great picks, and there will be one more fight before this either gets finished or we push into point 2.
And it's 30 seconds left. You've got a spawn camp. Make sure they don't get a portal out maybe, or I guess they can't even because they have ultimates. Nobody's swapping to Doctor Strange right now. Spawn camp not giving up. 10 seconds left to go. They're going to have to walk in. FlyQuest, they're going to be so obvious where they are. Maybe Nectar could find a huge pick-off on the Zelos or somebody so he can't get an ultimate.
We might see the last stand touch here by Wolverine. No, it's not needed. With 1 second able to get that touch. Really smart decision. Bang! The last stand out. Down goes Blur early. Once again, numbers advantage here for FlyQuest, who are now committing to this fight. We see 2 go down as Nectar falls. Up in the sky with energy. Make that 3 as they do look like they'll be taking point 1.
That's a massive mistake, I think, out of the side of Mochimon. They needed to take advantage of the position they were in. They knew FlyQuest had to walk forward, touch the point. Maybe force an ultimate earlier or something, man. So right now, not a Mochimon fan necessarily, just a fan of good gameplay. And right now, I don't think they took advantage of the position they were in. FlyQuest now, overtime, ticking down. If they get off the card at any instance, Mochimon recap the objective. It's all over, and we head to that map number 4. Energy's also hiding on this flank, ready to go.
What a match here. I mean, I'm with you, though. I think they needed to push there. They didn't do it. They just held. They just stayed on their heels, saying, hey, we won that. Let's do it again. But alt advantage heavily on the side of FlyQuest. You've got to force some stuff out there before the fight starts. And didn't get the job done, as we are going to see this start off. Madman holding on to this Meteor M. Will the dunk commence? Waiting out some cooldowns up in the sky. Strangling Prison. This could be a big dunk. Hey, Gascon falls. Moki is up by 1. Light trying to find a return up. Oh, takes out Nectar. Numbers are even. My goodness, right now. This fight is crazy. Light back on Blur. A tackle out. Light trying to find 3. Oh my God, this is insane fight. Light just absolutely popping off. Still holding on to this point, making sure they have numbers on. So back and forth. Madman takes out Light. The teleport comes through, and there goes the change as Gasklin will be on this Strange here, shoving them in, and Blur gonna teleport back in for the team. Oh my goodness, just so back and forth on each fight. Numbers roughly even again on the point. At this point, just looking at cooldowns. There goes some serious damage on the last stand. Nectar taking out Spark Chief is a great start to this fight, but a last stand right back at him. We don't see the pick there from Light. Eye of Agamotto gets popped. That could be enough.
It could be.
Yep,
it is.
Down goes Blur.
Oh my God, Blur falling is huge, and now without him on the front line, you have nobody to touch this cart. Potentially FlyQuest could get it done. They can get another pick here. Mochimon, they've got Madden with another Meteor M. He could go massive with it right now.
Oh, the meteor's up, the crystals are out, the shield is up. No value with it, besides a little bit of damage to the shield there. As we see Gascon still holding on to this point in the front line. We see the thing out now for Blur. No more Groot. It's just going to be some raw cart fighting as Energy gets the early pick on March Light on the Madman Energy on the month, and that's gonna do it there as the team is sweeping.
Wait, off the cart. See, no.
Oh my goodness, that would have been insane. Tackling everyone off card to have it running out of OT would have blown my mind, but it did not happen as FlyQuest takes home the series 2-0 and 1.
2-0 and 1 indeed, man. What a freaking map. That might be just the best map of Rivals we've seen in ever. I don't know. I feel like that happens every time, but that genuinely was exciting out of this match that's still early on in the tournament, right? We're not even deep. We're not even in the championship games necessarily just yet. So Mochimon put up a great fight. I mean, look at the stats, dude. Like 50,000 damage. Like this, everybody's farming here, dude. That was insane on both team sides. What a performance from everybody in this match. What are you looking at? What you just made like the Pog champ face. I saw that.
87,000 healing by Cooper-tastic on the Luna. It might be the biggest number I have ever seen on a fight, only going to 0.4 or 5, right? Like, it's just insane. The amount, it's just a positioning difference, right? That's just an understanding of keeping your team up despite what's going on in the fight, and knowing that high ground, knowing those off angles, and not being found by a Wolverine, which is actively hunting you at all times, man. This has been so fun to watch. But before we talk and dive into more of these stats, let's check out those highlights.